Florida's housing market made headlines all the way through 2022. Record prices, bidding wars, out-of-state buyers paying cash, sight unseen. The media called it the hottest real estate market in America. And for a while, they were right. But here's what the headlines are not telling you. Behind the statewide numbers, behind the averages and the projections, there are cities in this state where home prices are not rising, they are falling, fast. And in some cases, they are falling in ways that should alarm anyone who owns property, or anyone who is thinking about buying. According to Realtor.com's latest Florida market data, price cuts in certain Florida metros have surged to levels not seen since the 2008 financial crisis. Redfin shows homes sitting on the market for 90, 120, even 150 days in cities that were selling in a week just 2 years ago. And the Florida Realtors Association confirmed that active inventory in multiple markets jumped over 60% year over year, which in real estate means one thing: supply is overwhelming demand. If you own property in Florida, or if you are planning to buy, you need to know which cities are on this list, because the difference between buying in the right market and the wrong one right now could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, maybe more. We are going city by city, starting at number 10, and I promise you, number 1 is not who you think it is. Before we get into the list, here is the big picture. Florida added nearly 300,000 new residents in 2023 and 2024. Demand was supposed to hold prices up forever, but 3 things happened that nobody building the 2022 boom predictions accounted for. First, home insurance. Several major insurers pulled out of Florida entirely. Citizens Insurance, the state's insurer of last resort, now covers over 1 million properties. Coastal homeowners are paying $15,000, $20,000, even $40,000 a year just to insure a house. That cost gets baked into every buying decision. Second, mortgage rates. When rates doubled from 3% to over 7%, buyers who were pre-approved for $450,000 suddenly qualified for $320,000. The math stopped working. Third, the pandemic migration reversed. U.S. Census Bureau data shows that domestic in-migration to Florida, the wave of people moving here from other states, dropped 93% from its 2022 peak. The buyers who were supposed to keep driving prices up simply stopped coming. The result, specific cities across Florida are now experiencing price corrections that the statewide headlines are not capturing. Here are the 10 where it is happening fastest. Starting at number 10, Palm Bay, located in Brevard County on Florida's Space Coast. Palm Bay became a darling of the pandemic boom years. Remote workers priced out of Orlando and Miami discovered that a single-family home here cost a fraction of what it did on either coast. Between 2020 and 2022, median home prices in Palm Bay jumped from $210,000 to over $340,000, a 62% increase in under 2 years. That math was never sustainable, and Realtor.com's current data shows it unwinding in real time. Median list prices in Palm Bay have dropped approximately 8.4% year over year. On a median home priced at $320,000, that is $26,980 in lost value in a single year. Redfin shows that over 38% of active listings in Palm Bay have had at least one price cut. Homes that were selling in 11 days in 2022 are now sitting on the market for an average of 74 days. Residents describe a market that shifted almost overnight. One local homeowner told a regional outlet, "The offers just stopped. We went from 3 offers in a weekend to nothing for 2 months." The structural reason is straightforward. Palm Bay attracted pandemic buyers looking for space and low prices. When the price advantage evaporated, so did the demand. There are no major employer anchors pulling new residents in to replace them. If you are looking at Palm Bay specifically, the airport corridor and the northwest side near I-95 still have stronger fundamentals than the south end of town. The south side is where the deepest cuts are happening. Number 9, Punta Gorda, Charlotte County. Punta Gorda sits at an interesting intersection of 2 forces that are both working against home values right now. It is a retirement destination, which means it depends heavily on buyers from out of state. And it is a coastal city, which means it carries the full weight of Florida's insurance crisis. The Florida Realtors Association reported that Charlotte County saw median sale prices decline 6.2% year over year in the most recent reporting period. On the county's median home price of roughly $370,000, that is $22,940 in lost equity. But the insurance story is the one that locals keep coming back to. Residents in Punta Gorda describe insurance premiums that have doubled and in some cases tripled since Hurricane Ian made landfall just 25 miles south of the city in 2022. Homeowners who were paying $3,500 per year for coverage are now paying $8,000, $10,000, sometimes more. And that is if they can find coverage at all. Redfin data shows active inventory in Charlotte County up 71% year over year. The supply-demand balance has completely flipped. The honest assessment, Punta Gorda still has genuine quality-of-life appeal, waterfront access, a walkable downtown, strong healthcare infrastructure for retirees. But the cost of carrying a home here has fundamentally changed since Ian, and prices have not fully corrected to reflect the new insurance reality. More downside is likely. Number 8. Homosassa Springs in Citrus County on Florida's Nature Coast. This one requires some context. Citrus County became a target for pandemic-era buyers priced out of Tampa and Orlando. Land was cheap. Homes were cheap. The river systems are genuinely beautiful, and for a brief moment, everyone seemed to discover it at once. Zillow's Home Value Index for Citrus County shows a year-over-year decline of 5.8%. On the area's median home price of around $265,000, that is $15,270 in lost value. But the data point that tells the real story is days on market. Redfin shows homes in the Homosassa Springs market averaging 98 days before going under contract. In a healthy market, that number is typically 30 to 45. When homes are sitting for over 3 months, sellers are usually forced to cut. And Citrus County's price reduction rate currently sits at 41% of active listings. Locals describe a boom that came too fast and faded just as quickly. One resident who bought in 2021 told a local outlet, "We saw what was happening in Tampa and thought we were getting ahead of it. Now we are watching the same correction hit us 2 years later." The fundamental problem in Citrus County is a lack of economic anchors. Without major employers or significant infrastructure investment, price appreciation depended entirely on migration demand. That demand collapsed. Number 7. Ocala, Marion County. Ocala is going to surprise some people on this list, and not in a good way. The U-Haul Growth Index ranked Ocala as one of the top destination cities in the entire country just 2 years ago. People were flowing in from everywhere. Here is what happened next. When you grow that fast that quickly, you attract speculative buyers and investors, not just end users. Investors who buy to flip or rent need positive cash flow, and in Ocala right now, the numbers are not working for investors the way they did in 2021. Realtor.com shows Ocala median prices down 7.1% year over year. On the current median of approximately $290,000, that is a $20,590 decline. Price reductions are appearing on 36% of active listings, and days on market have stretched to an average of 81 days. Residents describe new construction that went up faster than the infrastructure to support it. Roads, utilities, schools, all of it lagging behind the building pace. That lag is now showing up in buyer hesitation. The honest flip side, Ocala's horse country and the surrounding rural areas retain genuine appeal, particularly for buyers looking for land. The unique properties are holding value better, but if you own a 3-bedroom in a cookie-cutter development on the east side of town, you are looking at a real paper loss right now. Number 6. Port St. Lucie, St. Lucie County. Port St. Lucie has been one of the fastest-growing cities in America for the better part of a decade. It sits between the Palm Beach Wealth Corridor to the south and the Space Coast to the north. During the boom, buyers who could not afford either direction landed in Port St. Lucie and drove prices to levels the local economy was never built to sustain. Redfin data shows Port St. Lucie median prices down 6.8% year over year. The median home is sitting around $395,000. A 6.8% decline on that number is $26,160 in lost value over 12 months. The insurance factor is acute here because St. Lucie County carries meaningful hurricane exposure. It is on the Atlantic coast, and multiple named storms have tracked directly over or near the area in recent years. Citizens Insurance has become the dominant provider in parts of the county by default. Residents describe a buyer's market that shifted with very little warning. A local real estate agent described it as a wall. Listings were moving fast, then the wall hit. Rate shock hit buyers from the north who had been pre-approved at 3% rates. When rates doubled, their purchasing power dropped by roughly 30%. The demand that was supposed to show up for Port St. Lucie never arrived. The one bright spot. Port St. Lucie has real job growth in the healthcare and biotech sectors anchored by the Cleveland Clinic's Tradition Medical Center campus. That long-term anchor should help stabilize prices better than markets that lack any employer base. Number 5. The outer suburbs of Tampa, specifically the Pasco County corridor and the eastern edges of Hillsborough County. Tampa itself and the inner ring suburbs have held value reasonably well. But when you move 25 to 40 miles out, toward Zephyrhills, Dade City, Wesley Chapel's outer developments, and the Land O'Lakes fringe, a different picture emerges. The Florida Realtors Association's Hillsborough County data shows price reductions accelerating sharply in zip codes east of I-75. Zillow's heat map puts parts of Pasco County in the bottom quartile for price appreciation statewide, with year-over-year declines in the 6 to 9% range depending on the specific area. These outer suburbs attracted buyers during the pandemic who were willing to commute 45 minutes to Tampa for a lower price point. When remote work partially reversed and those buyers had to return to the office, the calculus broke. A 45-minute commute is a much harder sell when you have to make it every day. And when the price premium over Tampa proper narrowed due to appreciation, the value proposition disappeared. Residents in Zephyr Hills and the Pasco corridor describe streets where every third or fourth house has a for sale sign. New construction that sold before it was built in 2021 is now competing with the same builder offering the same floor plan at a lower price to attract new buyers, which underwater previous buyers who paid peak prices. If you own in the Tampa outer suburbs, here's the honest assessment from Redfin's current data. You are competing against builders who can cut price in ways individual sellers cannot. That is a difficult position to be in. If you are still watching city by city, tracking which markets are actually falling versus which ones just feel like they should be, you are exactly the kind of person who does this research before making a move. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because what comes next are the 5 markets where the numbers get significantly worse. And number 1 is going to reframe how you think about Florida real estate entirely. Number 4, Fort Myers, Lee County. Fort Myers requires a conversation about Hurricane Ian because you cannot talk about Lee County real estate without it. Ian made direct landfall near Fort Myers Beach on September 28, 2022, as a Category 4 storm. The damage was catastrophic, over $112 billion in estimated losses across the county according to FEMA data. What happened to prices after Ian was counterintuitive. They initially held, partly because the storm created short-term demand for surviving homes. But that dynamic has fully reversed. Realtor.com now shows Fort Myers metro median prices down 9.3% year over year. On the metro median of approximately $390,000, that is $36,270 in lost value. Redfin's data shows 44% of active listings in Lee County carrying at least one price reduction, and average days on market sitting at 102. The insurance situation in Lee County is among the worst in the state. FEMA's flood map revisions post-Ian have placed thousands of properties in newly designated high-risk zones, triggering mandatory flood insurance requirements on top of already elevated homeowners' premiums. The combination has made carrying costs for coastal and near-coastal properties in Fort Myers genuinely unsustainable for many owners. Residents describe a two-tier market that has emerged post-Ian. Properties on higher ground with clean titles and manageable insurance are moving, slowly. Properties that flooded, or that are simply perceived as flood-adjacent, are struggling to attract offers at any price. The honest reality: Fort Myers is not going away. The Lee County economy is real. The infrastructure investment post-Ian is significant, and Cape Coral and Fort Myers proper have genuine long-term appeal. But the price reset is not finished. More correction is coming as the insurance market continues to reprice storm risk. Number 3, Cape Coral, Fort Myers' neighbor, and arguably the single market in Florida where the price correction has been most dramatic in absolute dollar terms. Cape Coral was the poster child of the Florida boom, a planned city built on a canal system. It offered waterfront access at prices that seemed impossibly low compared to other Florida coastal markets. During 2020 to 2022, Cape Coral home prices surged from a median of around $270,000 to over $480,000. That is a 78% increase in under 2 years. Zillow's Home Value Index now shows Cape Coral median values down 11.2% year over year. On a home that peaked at $480,000, an 11.2% correction represents $53,760 in lost value in 12 months. That is not a paper number for homeowners watching their equity. That is real money. Redfin shows 51% of active listings in Cape Coral have received price cuts, the highest rate of any major Florida metro in their current dataset. Active inventory is up 84% year over year. The market has simply flooded with supply, as investors who bought during the boom have decided the math no longer works and are exiting. Residents describe a neighborhood dynamic that shifted fast. One homeowner on a canal-front property described watching 5 houses on her street go up for sale within a 6-month window. None of them sold quickly. 2 of them cut price twice before going under contract. The canal-front properties in Cape Coral carry a specific additional burden: seawall maintenance. Many of the seawalls in Cape Coral are aging and require costly repair or replacement. Buyers who did not know to ask about seawall condition in 2021 are discovering that liability now. The honest assessment: Cape Coral has real long-term value as a waterfront community. The canal system is genuinely unique. But prices overshot fair value dramatically. The correction is still underway, and the insurance and seawall cost dynamics have fundamentally changed the carrying cost calculation. Number 2, the western suburbs of Miami-Dade County. Specifically, the communities along the Tamiami Trail and the western fringe of Miami-Dade, including areas like Doral's Outer Edges, Hialeah Gardens, and the communities approaching the Everglades. Miami's core, Brickell, Wynwood, the beach, has shown remarkable price resilience. But go 20 to 30 miles west of downtown Miami, and a different market has emerged. The Florida Realtors Association's Miami-Dade data shows the western suburban zip codes experiencing year-over-year price declines ranging from 8 to 13%, depending on the specific area. On a median home price of $420,000 in these western communities, a 10% decline represents $42,000 in lost value. The issue here is layered. First, these western communities attracted buyers who were priced out of Miami proper. When prices in the western suburbs caught up to Miami's market during the boom, the discount that made them attractive disappeared. Second, flood risk. Miami-Dade's western communities sit at extremely low elevation, and sea level rise combined with intensifying rain events has produced flooding events in areas that never flooded historically. Residents describe streets that flood during rainstorms that would have been unremarkable 5 years ago. Third, and this one is underreported, groundwater intrusion. The porous limestone beneath Miami-Dade County means that traditional flood barriers are less effective than they would be elsewhere. Water comes up from below, not just from above. Insurance companies and their actuaries understand this. Buyers are increasingly understanding it too. Residents in some of these western communities describe a quiet exodus of longer-term owners who bought affordable and are now selling while they still can. It is not panic selling, but it is deliberate. The honest counter: if you are a cash buyer who understands the risk profile, there are genuine value opportunities in Miami-Dade's western tier right now. But if you are financing with a traditional mortgage and plan to hold for under 10 years, the risk-adjusted math is difficult. Number 1. And I told you this would not be the obvious answer. Everyone who follows Florida real estate expected this spot to go to Miami or Tampa or Fort Lauderdale. The data says something different. The market where price declines are hitting fastest, deepest, and with the least structural support for recovery is the outer suburban ring around Jacksonville, specifically Clay County and Nassau County. Here is why this is number 1. Realtor.com's current projections show Clay County on pace for a 12.4% year-over-year price decline, the steepest projected decline of any county in Florida. On the county's median home price of approximately $365,000, a 12.4% decline is $45,260 in lost value in a single year. Nassau County is not far behind, with Redfin showing median prices down 10.8% year-over-year, and active inventory up 112%, more than double what it was 12 months ago. Why is this happening here? The Jacksonville outer suburbs experienced exactly the same dynamic as Tampa's outer ring and Ocala, but in a compressed geography that amplified the correction. During the boom, buyers who could not afford Jacksonville's south side or the beaches moved 25 to 45 minutes out. Clay County, with cities like Fleming Island, Middleburg, and Orange Park, and Nassau County, with Yulee, Callahan, and Fernandina Beach's inland areas, all saw price appreciation of 60 to 75% between 2020 and 2022. When mortgage rates doubled and the Jacksonville commute became a real daily cost again, demand for those outer communities collapsed. There was no employer base in Clay County or Nassau County to sustain prices independently of Jacksonville commuter demand. When the commuter demand dried up, nothing replaced it. Redfin shows days on market in Clay County averaging 118 days. That is nearly 4 months. Sellers who priced for 2022 are discovering that 2026 buyers will not meet them there. Residents describe a market that feels stuck. One homeowner in Middleburg told a local outlet that their home has been listed for 4 months with 2 price reductions and still no offer. Their neighbor went through the same thing and eventually pulled the listing entirely rather than take the loss. The Census Bureau data adds one more layer to the Jacksonville story. Duval County itself, the core of the Jacksonville metro, has been losing population to other Florida metros, particularly Orlando and the Tampa Bay area. That means Jacksonville's outer suburbs are not just losing buyers from out of state, they are losing buyers from their own core city. U-Haul's growth index now ranks the Jacksonville metro outside the top 20 inbound destinations nationally, a dramatic fall from its pandemic-era peak rankings. This is not a market in temporary distress. This is a structural correction that is still working itself through. 10 cities, 10 different stories, but one pattern running through all of them. The Florida boom was built on a combination of historically low mortgage rates, a once-in-a-generation migration surge, and a pandemic-driven demand for space. All three of those forces have reversed, and the cities that rose the fastest on that wave are now correcting the hardest. If you own property in any of these markets, the question you need to be asking is not whether prices are falling. They are. The question is whether your specific property has the anchors, employer proximity, genuine coastal access, unique characteristics that will help it hold value better than the market average. Because within every market on this list, there are properties that will outperform and properties that will significantly underperform the averages I cited today. If you are looking to buy in Florida, what this list represents is not a reason to stay away. It is a map of where the opportunity is starting to emerge for patient buyers who understand that catching a falling knife is different from buying value after a correction has played out. And if you are thinking about retiring in Florida and want to know which markets offer real affordability without the risk profile of the cities on this list, I put together a complete guide covering 25 Florida cities with all the data: housing costs, insurance realities, healthcare access, crime, and climate scores. It is called the Honest Florida Retirement Guide, and it is linked in the description below. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these markets surprised you the most? Drop the city in the comments. And if you own property in any of these areas, tell me what you are seeing on the ground. The data tells part of the story. The people living it tell the rest.